What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the masterclass series that we do here at FencingLaunch. And today we're going to be talking about the struggles of growing a fence business in 2024. Okay. And I get this all the time. People ask me, here's the thing I'm having challenges with. What should I do to fix it? What should I do to move forward from this? And this masterclass is specifically for you folks that are looking for support and help when it comes to growing your fence company in 2024. Okay, so without further ado, here's the things that we're going to cover today. So we're going to cover some of the challenges of growing a fence company. Okay, we're going to talk about marketing made easy for fence companies. I'm going to show you exactly some strategies that you can use to grow your fence company in 2024. And then we're going to talk about sort of how to overcome some of these biggest mistakes that people make in 2024 as well when it comes to growing your fence company. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how to grow your fence company with ease. Like what's a simple strategy to grow your company and take it to the next level. Okay. So who is Marko and why listen? Well, I have a $10 million track record here with advertising and marketing. We've generated over $100 million plus in sales for the clients we've worked with over however many years now here at our company. And we're really on a mission to helping as many fence companies as possible grow and scale in 2024 and beyond when it comes to digital marketing. So Facebook ads, Google ads, things like that. Okay. So without further ado, let's just jump straight into it here. So growing a fence business is becoming more difficult, and it's becoming harder to grow. And whether you're a residential business or a commercial business, it's just more difficult nowadays. And what I've noticed is since COVID, there was a sort of a boom with a lot more projects. A lot more people were more busy, but now that we're kind of a few years past COVID, things are getting a little more difficult to just have consistent revenue and consistent sales. People might have less money, right? That could very well be the case as well. And so what I'm seeing is this industry growing. The outlook, we'll kind of take a look at some of the numbers here, but I see this industry growing. It's a wonderful business to be in. You have a massive opportunity to growing and scaling a company in this market. And I just want to encourage you, to really learn, like, what are the things necessary to grow this business? Because again, the odds are against you. There's taxes, there's liability, there's employees, you got to get clients. There's a lot of things here. So we're going to break down exactly what it takes to grow and how to overcome some of those challenges like we're talking about. Okay. So in the fencing industry, it's like a gold rush. I call it a gold rush because there's a lot of people entering the space. We see this on our end because, we have a big email list of fencing businesses, and we kind of see what's happening out there in the marketplace. And there's so many companies starting up. I can't even tell you how many companies there are because they're starting up all the time. I mean, I just spoke to a company that they do concrete coating, and they're actually starting a fencing company as well. So fencing businesses are opening up, dime a dozen. And so this is becoming more and more important and apparent just to kind of show out, how are you going to be different than your next company, right? There's tons of contractors opening up. It's flooding the space. And like I said, there's a lot of like other industry contractors looking at this industry and be like, okay, that's a good industry. And a lot of people are trying to get into it, not before it's too late, but get into it before it gets too sort of crowdy with other contractors, right? I think that's the right way to put it, in this industry. And this is I think it's an $8 billion market. And so it's so big. There's so much space. There's so many new construction projects going on, even like right here in Arizona where we're based. There's Pulte Homes and all these other companies putting up homes and so much building going on, which is going to create so much more jobs, so much, definitely a lot more fence projects out there. So the market is looking really good for that in my opinion. Okay. Now, what I always tell people is The riches are in the niches. If you want to grow and scale, you got to focus on one thing and one thing only. Okay. In the beginning, you could focus maybe one or two or whatever, but it's super important to focus on what your niche is. Okay. So, what I encourage fence businesses to do is, you're doing privacy fencing, you're doing picket fencing, maybe you're doing residential, commercial. Focus on one or two of those items and figure out how to scale that. Figure out how to get more customers in those two sectors rather than trying to grow the whole company as a whole. Because there's repairs, replacements, new construction. Focus on one of those and then maybe one type of fencing or two type of fencing that sells really well in your area and try scale that up, because you don't want to be a jack of all trades. You want to have a niche, and a niche is where you're going to be able to generate predictable revenue and predictable sales into the future. Okay. So keep that in mind. We're going to circle back on this later today as well. And I want to show you a little bit more about what we mean by that exactly, because it's super, super important. Super important. Okay. Now, the other thing I hear out there in the ecosystem is finding good talent is difficult. I always hear people saying, "Hey, it's hard to find talent. I have the jobs. I can't get people to work for me. My crews suck. I can't trust them to do the job correctly, or do it the same quality that I would do it." Or just other ways of that. Like I hear this all the time. People are complaining about it. People are saying that, and look, I get it. Not everybody is perfect. Not every worker is going to be perfect. Not every worker is going to be your best employee. And, this really comes down to the company itself. I was actually just interviewing Brandon Vaughn. He owns Hire Bus. He started a company called Wise Coating. So they work with, they're a concrete coating business nationally. I think they have 35 locations now. So they're a multi-million-dollar business. And what he told me is that you got to hire on culture. You got to hire on your core values. And the other thing that he said is you have to create a work environment. You got to create a company that people want to work for. And I'll actually put that in the comment section below here. You gotta create a perfect company, a wonderful company first, and then you can expect to have good employees. But until you're a good company and people want to work for you, don't expect other employees to come into your company and want to work there. And so we'll kind of touch on that in a little bit as well. Obviously, some common things here. No one wants to work nowadays. That's a common thing that's going on, right? People are getting money from the government. There are some people, which mean there is still hope, obviously, right? You have to create a professional organization where people want to work. Do you do company outings? Do you have company events? Is your company interesting? Like, do people grow there? Are people growing in their career at your company? You attract who you are. So be better as a company and you're going to attract better people. I think that just kind of sums it all up there. And this is not an easy concept. So, I'm making it look easy, but it's not easy. And so accept that you have to build out your culture. You got to build out what your company does and what it stands for. And then you can kind of expect that caliber of person to work for you. So hopefully that makes sense. And we'll touch on that more later as well. Okay. Now, lead generation is hit or miss. This is another big challenge or struggle that fencing businesses run into, is that lead generation is just not consistent. And we've all been there. We've all seen that, even at our companies. I mean, lead generation is it comes and goes in seasons. Sometimes it's really good. Some weeks it's just complete dog crap. And so what you want to do as a company is understand that is a thing, and understand and develop a strategy moving forward. Again, these are all all these issues and challenges that we're talking about right now are things we're going to solve as we go on through this masterclass. But I hear this all the time. My leads are inconsistent. In order to grow, you need consistent flow of leads. That's super important. And number 3, more high quality leads is going to equal growth. If you don't get high quality leads, you're not going to grow the business. So that's going to be super important to look into as well. And we'll solve that for you right on this masterclass. That's actually what we specialize in, is helping fencing companies grow and scale through lead generation, strategies and things like that. So we have a whole host of other resources on that end as well. Okay. So, and then once you do get the leads, let's say you're getting tons of leads, but all leads suck. Well, that happens too, right? Not every lead is qualified. And so it's common that people say that their marketing sucks, their leads suck. That's partially true, but not fully. Not fully. And I'll explain further why that is. Not every lead is quality. That's just par for the course. You might get 100 leads and 20 of them are just bad phone number. It's just data, right? Not every lead is going to be quality. That's just something you got to understand, right? It's a numbers game. And what I mean by that is you get 100 leads, let's say 10 of them, or let's say 25 of them end up being sales appointments consistently. So you track this on a monthly basis, weekly basis, and you see, okay, over the past year, 20% of our leads have converted into highly qualified appointments. Okay, cool. Now let's just get more leads at the same conversion rate, and we're going to generate more sales, right? So it's a very simple formula, and I'll actually break that down for you guys very easily in just a document. I'll just show you, okay, here's the leads you're getting, here's the conversion rate, here's the total sales you can expect from the leads you're getting. And I'll show you exactly how that works. Okay. Now, those are some of the challenges, right? So if we were to go back here, we got, fencing industry is a gold rush, which means it's getting more competitive. That's challenge one. Challenge two is you try to be a jack of all trades. So you're trying to do everything. Challenge three, or that was challenge two. Challenge three is finding good talent is difficult. So getting the right people in the right seat is difficult. And I'll talk a little bit about what to expect in there. Number four is lead generation or marketing and leads just don't work. Number five is leads suck. Okay. And those are the 5 common challenges that I see in the fencing industry right now. Okay. Those are the things I see that most companies are mentioning and need help with. Okay. So now what? Well, you want to overcome these, right? You got to overcome these challenges. And what we've developed is a strategy. It's a step 1, 2, 3 process on how to overcome these challenges. And we'll break down one of these for you so you could solve it today on this masterclass, because I want this masterclass to be as helpful as possible for you and not a waste of your time. Okay. And so step 1 is identify. This stage is all about identifying the issue and what the biggest constraint is. Okay. So if your biggest constraint is getting more leads to grow the business, then we have to identify that is the issue, right? And number 2 is you want to discuss it. So with your team, with your peers, this is where you want to talk about the situation with trusted people and vendors. So maybe your COGS are too high. Maybe you're paying too much for material. Well, get on the phone with your vendor and talk about your issue. Okay. Hey, Mr. Sales rep at XYZ supply company, we're not hitting a 60% gross margin like we used to. What can we do to get there? Right. And start discussing it with the people around you, whether it's your employees, whether it's your clients, whether it's your vendors. Vendors will sometimes solve some of these challenges. I'll talk about that. And number 3 is you want to solve it. So you want to propose different solutions, and then you want to choose one of them and run with it and see what happens. Because if you don't use it's IDS, so identify, discuss, solve, so way of doing this, then usually speaking, you're not going to solve the issue as effective as you would if you were to use this. So if we were to just break this down for you on what this kind of looks like, I'll just share my screen and I'll show you this model a little bit. So identify, discuss, solve. That's what I wrote down here. And by the way, I learned this from EOS, which is, I think it's called the Entrepreneur Operating System. It's a big worldwide network of people that help businesses with their sort of how they structure their business. But you could learn more about them. You can go check them out. But anyways, this is all about identifying, discussing, and solve. So let's say we're, our issue, let's start with our issue. Our issue is we are trying to double the business this year from 1 million to 2 million. and fence jobs in Maryland. Okay. Let's say that's our issue. And halfway through the year, we are at $1.5 million run rate. Okay. So as you could see, this company is struggling with getting to that $2 million mark. And they're trying to double the business, but they're not able to get there right now. That's their current numbers do not add up. Now, we want to identify the issue. Okay. So usually what you want to do here is you want to ask questions, ask yourself questions, ask your team questions. And if you're more like a smaller business, 500 grand a year, nothing wrong with that. But you're usually going to be working with yourself on these things because you don't have people around you. But you want to identify the issue. So you're trying to identify the biggest constraint. Okay. And what that's going to help you get is you're going to start to figure out, okay, what is the biggest constraint? What is the biggest issue stopping me from getting to $2 million this year? Okay. And let's say you find it. Let's say you identify it, right? You identified that it's a flurry of things. Okay. Let's say it's your cost per lead. Let's say your cost to acquire, right? Let's say it's your lead conversion rate. There could be a lot of things why that's the case, right? And you want to figure out, okay, what is the most low-hanging fruit? What is something we should solve first? Okay, well, and maybe you could solve a couple of these at the same time, right? And I'm showing you this example because we specialize in marketing. I'm not going to show you, operational stuff. I'm going to show you marketing stuff. And, let's say this is you've identified that this is the issue. Now you go to discuss stage. And in the discussion stage, really what you're trying to do is talk with people around you to figure out what is going on, right? That's what you're trying to do. And so now you're going to be like, okay, you're going to talk with your marketing company. You're going to talk with your sales reps. You're going to talk with your office team. You're going to do all of those things necessary to essentially figure out what's going on here, right? You're going to ask them questions. You're going to, you're not at solving yet. You're not going to propose any solutions yet. This is the stage where you're simply discussing, okay, our cost per lead seems slightly higher. Why is that? Let's go look at it, right? And you're essentially just going to discuss with the people around you what is going to be important. And then now, during this stage, you're going to essentially give out different solutions. Here's solution A, here's solution B, here's solution C. And examples of this would be, okay, new marketing company, they've been choking recently anyways. New form on the ads. Maybe we change the angle on the ads, right? If the biggest thing is the cost per lead, maybe we need, more creatives on the ads, like more campaigns, things like that. Okay. And so now we're getting more practical because we've identified the issue, we've discussed the issue, and then now we're solving it. And we have these 4 different solutions we could do here. And so it's up to us as business owners to solve it and make a decision and move on. So that way we could go back to the drawing board and understand kind of where we're at with all of that. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. I don't want to get too complicated here, but the IDS model is usually a really good way to sort of solve, some of the things you're working on. Okay. Now, the fencing industry as a whole, you really have three things that I came up with here. Like I said earlier, it's an $8.2 billion market size, so it's super big. There's plenty of market. There's plenty of homeowners. There's so many jobs. You could be friends with your competitors and still win because there's so much work out there, and there's so much so much work out there for you to win. To build $1 million fence company, that's like a little fly on the wall. Like you're not anything crazy at $1 million, really. Obviously, it's an amazing thing to do, and it's a massive milestone. But in the grand scheme of things, you can totally grow that, and you have a massive opportunity to even grow a bigger fencing company, bigger than that. I mean, we know guys doing millions per year, $3, $4, $5 million a year. And the reason why I bring this up is because you have a massive opportunity to grow a company, create tremendous impact in your community, and provide jobs for the people around you, and be able to grow a successful company. And I want to show you some examples into all of that as well. And I just want you to really hear that. That is a massive opportunity for you. You're in a great industry with great people. There's shows coming up. There's the Fence Show, and then who's run by Brian and Susan and their team. And then there's Fence Tech, which is the America's Fence Association, and that's going to be a big event. I think it's in Salt Lake City or something like that next year. The Fence Show is coming up. It's on I think the 10th to the 13th of September. So definitely take a look at that. The Fence Show is going to be pretty awesome. And I think you guys get a lot of value from there as well. But this is a great, there's so much opportunity in this industry. And so, like I said earlier, I wanted to kind of circle back on this. There's a lot of people entering the space, right? It's becoming more and more important to be different, just to be different than the next contractor down the road. And just be conscious of that. Like here's the list of companies next to me. Here's what they're doing. Here's how we're different than all of them. And here's the things we're going to say to our sales prospects so you can win them over. And the new Zero is providing an amazing experience. What I mean by that is the new Zero, like what's acceptable is just having an amazing experience, because everybody who's great is doing that. And so you got to be better than great. And, if this is obviously if you want to grow a fence company and overcome some of these challenges we're talking about, and you want to figure out ways to over deliver to your customers. So, gifts, incentives, what can you offer to your clients to just over deliver, in that way, essentially under promise, over deliver. And, that way you're not overselling yourself and you're providing a really good experience. Okay. Now here's a quick bonus tip. Okay. Here's a quick bonus tip to stand out. You want to have wrapped trucks and trailers. So your trailers, your trucks for your entire fence fleet, make sure that you have these things wrapped. That is a big thing that's going to help you, stand out from your competition, especially when you go out and do quotes and you show up in a wrapped truck. People are going to be like, wow, okay, this company's really got it. They're going to be able to take care of me. They're going to be able to do the job right. And that's what we're looking for. Okay. Number 2 is be professional with attire and manners. I mean, that's just an obvious. Make sure you're professional. Make sure you have, company swag on, company shirts on, all of that stuff, company hats. If you're going to wear a hat, wear a company hat. Make sure it looks great. Be prompt and show up and show that you really care. This will go a long ways in today's world as well. Just show people that you really care. Like, if you really care, then you're going, the customer is going to see that. The customer is going to be able to see what you're doing, right? And I think that'll help you really stand out as well as just caring. Like if you just care, okay? And then number 4 is use technology, because your competition isn't. And these are things like Company Cam. There's a software called Reality Fence. Reality Fence is a software that will basically, let me show you this because this is pretty cool. It's called Reality Fence. And on Reality Fence, you literally can show the client, here's an example of a fence project. If you just take a picture of their backyard, you can show them an example of what a white vinyl fence would look like, or, a pickup fence would look like in their backyard, right? And this is just an awesome software. I think it uses augmented reality to show the customer what the fence would look like if because basically you take your iPhone and you take a picture or a video of the backyard and you say, okay, here's where the fence is going, and it's going to place the fence there. This is an awesome software. So things like this are going to help your company stand out from your competition because they're not using that. Imagine you're on a sales quote and you got that software and the next sales guy from the other company doesn't have that. the homeowner is going to think that's a little different, and maybe you guys are an awesome company, right? So that's just a little thing that will help you stand out from your competition if you're a fencing company, looking to grow. Okay. Now, like I said earlier, I want to bring this back. You want to focus on one primary service. So, if you're under $1 million a year, usually you're trying to do everything and you just kind of take every job possible because you're just trying to get any job in the door to do revenue. That's fine, because obviously you got to take what you can. Now, to a certain point, you want to start focusing on one or two items. And what we see, if I were to show you just a client of ours, Armor Fence of Maryland. Okay, so they're over, they're doing some numbers, and I mean, you can see here they do aluminum, wood, vinyl, Trex. They do different kinds of fences. I imagine new construction. I imagine they're doing, replacements and repairs and things like that. And when you get to a bigger level where you can afford to have divisions for this, and you could do that and this, and you could still hit your margins, then I would totally recommend doing everything. But when you're smaller, trying to get to $1 million a year, usually if you just focus on one or two services, you'll do really well. And you got to market those one or two services too. You can't just not do nothing. And so, if you're going to focus on vinyl fences in the Midwest and residential vinyl fences, well, just market for that exclusively. When you run ads on Facebook, just feature those type of projects, and people who want that are going to reach out. And then you could say, hey, we're the number one vinyl fence company in Michigan, or number one, whatever, wherever you're at, right? And that's going to help you, again, stand out from your competition. And when you focus on one primary service, you're just going to turbocharge your growth, because now you're just focusing on just that. Okay. And there's really two of the best ways to get leads in this business. I mean, we've been doing this for years. We spend millions of dollars in paid advertising, and we figured out kind of the exact strategy that it takes to grow a fence company from 0 to $1 million a year. And what we've noticed is that Facebook and Google are the two best platforms to run ads on to get more leads. So if you're watching this, you've probably heard of Home Advisor, Angie Leads, Yelp, some of these other platforms. And we would call those outdated platforms. You're not going to get quality leads from there. You're just going to get kind of tire kicker leads from those platforms. And so what I recommend is that you focus on the platforms that are going to generate the best bang for your buck. Okay. And, I want to show you some examples here on like what the conversion rate would look like on each of these platforms. But let's run through a couple things here. So, Facebook ads are cheap. They are super cheap. Facebook ads are cheap. You could get leads for cheap. You could get good leads from the platform too. Getting new customers from Facebook is one of the cheapest ways you'll be able to do it. Facebook ads, it has a lower barrier to entry. So if you're going to start with Google, it's going to cost more. Whereas you start with Facebook, it's going to be cheaper. Okay. It's similar to Home Advisor, but you get exclusive leads. Okay. You get exclusive leads. That's the caveat, is you get exclusive leads. So that way you can have a higher likelihood of converting that person into an actual customer. Okay. Facebook is a disruption marketing platform. So when homeowners are scrolling on Facebook and they realize they are interested in a fence contractor, they're going to click through and learn more, right? And that's just what they're going to do. And, not everybody is going to reach out on the first time they see your ad. That's why it's disruption. They're going to see it once, they're going to see it twice, and then, eventually they're going to reach out. Okay. Number two is they aren't actively looking for a contractor in some cases. Okay. Not everybody's looking for a contractor right away. Okay. And what you have to know about that is, Facebook is going to bring some quality leads. Facebook's going to bring some bad quality leads. Like, there's no other way to put it other than that. And so, what you want to do is you want to focus on the good ones, right? and you just want to do what's right. And like I said earlier, there's differences between Facebook and Google, and kind of all that good stuff. And what we've seen is, on Facebook, you have a lot cheaper of a cost per lead than Google, but a lot lower sort of conversion rate. Okay. And I'll show you what I mean by that here with sort of the process. I'll share my screen and what the process kind of looks like, because you have Google ads and then you have Facebook ads. And if we were to look at the average cost per lead on Google ads, this is going to be like $75 to $100 a lead. Okay. On Facebook ads, this is going to be anywhere from $20, probably even like $10 to $25 a lead. Okay. So you're going to have a lot cheaper lead on Facebook. This is going to be more expensive, but higher quality, usually speaking. Okay. So higher quality, but more expensive. Facebook's going to be cheaper, but less quality. Still quality. You can still get customers from it, but it's just going to be sort of a cheaper lead. Okay. Now, if we were to map out kind of the process a little bit, right? You've probably seen something like this before, but you're going to have a couple different levers you're going to pull in the business. Okay. You're going to have your cost per lead, which is your marketing company. Okay. Then you're going to have your appointment set rate. And then you're going to have your sales closing rate. Okay. Now, these different levers in the business, you're going to essentially track all of these and make sure you improve them. Okay. Let's say your cost per lead is $25 a lead. Okay. Your appointment set rate, you want this to be about 35%. So if you get 100 leads, you would set about 35 of those into high quality appointments. Okay. So that would be a pretty fair conversion rate, in my opinion. Your sales closing rate would be, another 35%. So not everybody are going to close. It's just not reality. Not everybody are going to close. Okay. And from these numbers, you want to improve these over time. That's the goal with these numbers. Okay. Don't expect them to be perfect right out of the gate, because if you're new to running Facebook ads, you're not going to get, a 35% set rate. It might be 25%, right? But 35 is kind of the KPI on where you want to be with that number. Okay. So if we're to map this out, let's say you're spending, $100 a day in Facebook ads. Okay. So you're spending $100 a day in Facebook ads. Now, that's going to equal about 4 leads a day. Okay. With $100 a day is going to get you 4 leads a day. And per month, that's 120 leads a month. Okay. Now, what do we consider a lead? This is a name, an email, a phone number, an address, and like the type of project. Like what are they looking for? What type of project are they looking for? That's usually what we consider a lead. Okay. And then from 120 leads a month with that 35% set rate, you're going to get about 42 sales estimates. Okay. From 42 sales quotes or estimates times the 35% close rate is 15 jobs sold. Okay. 15 jobs, at, let's say your average job is $7,500. Okay. You're going to get, 110K. This would be in sales revenue. This is obviously not profit. But if you're spending, $100 a day in Facebook ads and generating a little over $100,000 in sales revenue, starts to make a lot of sense, right? And this is what we encourage fence contractors to do, is just kind of look into these numbers more and just track it for yourself. Like, where are you at currently? How could you improve it? All of that. So I think most of you guys listening to this, if you're getting $25 leads and you're spending $100 a day and you're generating $110,000 in sales revenue from that campaign, I think most of you guys would keep this going. I think most of you guys would continue to invest in a program like that, right? So super, super good stuff there. Super helpful. Okay. Now, Google ads on the other side is based on search. This is based on people searching your business. And so Google's reliant on that. And these are keywords such as fence installation, fence contractors near me. And if you're based in rural areas, Google Ads might not be the best fit for you. I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. Google Ads might not be the best fit for you. And Google is a bidding platform. And I think people forget that it's a bidding platform. The companies that have a bigger budget typically show up more often, right? You see that all the time. And so it's pay to play model. If you have the money, you can pay more. If you have less money, you can pay less, which means you're not going to show up as more, right? You pay Google for each click you get on a keyword. Fence contractors near me might be $6 for the cost per click. That doesn't mean you get a lead every time. I think that's what people forget here is if I go to google.com and I search fence contractors near me, and since I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, this zip code, then you can see here that these are the companies running ads. You have Angie Leads running ads, and you have DCS. By the way, quick caveat here, Angie Leads is running Google ads. So when people click on this and they fill out this, right, and they say they're looking for a fence install, this lead goes to 3 different fence contractors. They paid for it once. They're reselling it to 3, 4, 5, 6 other fence contractors. And so if you just ran the ads yourself and you showed up right here, instead of having to pay Angie Leads, you're going to pay for a cheaper lead, but you're also going to get a higher quality lead because you're the only one getting the lead. It's not going to anybody else, right? That's just a quick tip there. But you can see here, this company here is running ads where it says sponsored. That means they're running a Google ad. So if I were to click on this ad here, they're going to pay $5, $6 for that cost per click. It doesn't guarantee to be a lead though. So if I click on this and you land on the landing page, let's click on Scottsdale Fence Company here. Let's say you land on this page and it doesn't look very good. It doesn't really help the customer out. Doesn't talk about the different fences that they do. Then you're probably not going to get a lead or a conversion. And so the challenges that I see most fence companies running into is they're running a lot of traffic to landing pages, but they're not converting people into actual leads and customers. And so they're spending a lot, but not getting a lot in return. And that's a big problem to have, obviously. And what I've noticed is if you fix that, if you generate those leads and you're bidding on the right keywords, then you're going to be pretty successful on this platform. Google is very good. It benefits both. I mean, Google benefits from it, but the user gets what they want, which is they find a good fence company. And then you as a fence company get to generate more sales and revenue. Now, the thing is you got to make sure a couple things are dialed in. Your landing page is dialed in. You got to make sure you have the right bidding strategy on it. And you want to make sure that you're bidding on the right keywords. You want to make sure that all your tracking is set up properly. And I can go on and on and on about what you want to make sure. But, at the end of the day, you just got to run these correctly. And we have more resources. You can go to FencingLaunch.com and take a look at some of the other resources we have on Google Ads. And I think we have a masterclass coming up as well, where we're going to talk about, the Google Ads side of things. But super, super important stuff here for you guys. Okay. And at the end of the day, what it comes down to, when it comes to overcoming these challenges and these struggles is you want to start with your goal in mind. Okay. And so you're that fence company, you're doing 500 grand a year and you're looking to take it to the next level. What's your goal? Is your goal 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million? What's your goal? Start there. Okay. And you want to create an action plan based on that goal. Okay. So you're at 500 grand a year right now. You're trying to go to $2 million a year. Create an action plan on what needs to happen. Okay. So you're going to start with your current position. We're at 500 grand. Number 2, write down where you want the company to be 6 months, 12 months, 24 months from now. What does that look like? Okay. And then number 3, write down the specific things that you need to happen in order to get there. We call these rocks. What are the specific rocks that need to be accomplished in order for you to hit that $2 million run rate? Right? And then number 4 is plan out each month and what items you're going to focus on. Plan out exactly, these are the items we're going to do this month. That's going to pull us closer to that $2 million goal. This is going to get us more sales. This is going to get us more fence jobs. This is going to get us more team members so we can do the jobs. Oftentimes I see people forgetting about how important it is to plan what you're doing. And you want to make sure that your entire team and staff is on the same page with you on all of these things. And again, like if you're at 500 grand and you're trying to get to 2 million, that's a $1.5 million delta, which means you got to generate that much more sales in order to get there. Well, that's going to be another per month. That's 125 grand a month in sales that you're going to have to sell in order to do that. So if you have 24 months to get there, you have to increase sales by about $5,200 every single month to get there. More. So $5,000 more per month, each month, to get to that goal, which doesn't seem like that much when you break it down to a monthly thing. Obviously, when you look at it like, okay, 500 to 1.5 or 500 to 2, like that's pretty difficult. But if you map it out, start with your goal, I promise you, you will get there. Okay. Now, if you guys have any questions, put them in the comment section below. Our team will get to you. We'll respond to them. If there's any resources we can grab you, definitely let us know. And, here at Fencing Launch, we specialize in helping fence and deck businesses grow and scale through paid advertising. And we can help you as well. So if you're looking to grow your company, definitely go over to FencingLaunch.com. And you can claim access to any of our resources, or you can actually book a call with our team to see if we can help you in the first place. Also, if you're a fencing company, definitely join our Facebook group. Just go to FencingLaunch.com/group and you can join our free Facebook group. And this will be super helpful for you guys if you're looking for just to connect with other people in this community. I think we have almost 1,000 people in that group at this point now. So tons of fence contractors out there to help you guys and strategize together to grow and scale your companies. But awesome. Well, next week, one last thing I want to say is we have a podcast with Chuck Thoki. Definitely take a look at that. We're going to be talking about sales and all of that good stuff. But